And Mr. Secretary, thanks very much for being with us again today. Really appreciate seeing you. And I think it's really important because I also, in reading your testimony about cybersecurity, is a big issue. And in recent weeks, we have read news stories about malicious agents working to undermine the safety and security of our nation's energy infrastructure. According to the Department of Homeland Security, this includes Russian cyber attacks that have remotely targeted the power grid, energy, nuclear, and commercial facilities and critical manufacturing sectors. More recently, we have seen cyber attacks against the electronic communication systems of several American pipeline companies. DHS is still working to determine who is responsible for these specific attacks. And I believe from your response from the chairman of the subcommittee, the gentleman from Michigan, that you would agree that more needs to be done to address these attacks on our energy infrastructure. Is DOE working with DHS to identify the vulnerabilities that were exploited through these attacks and rectifying them? And if so, can you tell us what might be done and what's being done?
Well, there's nothing more essential to America's national interest, and for that matter, our national and security than our energy supply. The Department of Energy plays a very important role with that. We're the specific agency that deals with the energy side of it, particularly grid security. But we're also working with the other sectors, or not the other sectors, but the other agencies as well. DHS, Department of Transportation, and DHS and Transportation Department lead cybersecurity support to pipelines. DOE works closely with them and other departments, and we have some other stakeholders to protect the energy sector, including the secure transport of our oil and gas. So we recognize the real challenges there. One of the reasons that we're asking for the additional dollars to stand up this office of cybersecurity that we refer to as CSER, S-E-R, is so that we can focus the resources, use our national labs, working with these other agencies of government to assure the American people that we have done everything within reason possible to protect the American people from these cyber attacks that are only increasing in intensity and frequency.
Thank you. Given the nature of these threats, I believe it is more important than ever that Congress acts. That's why I've worked with my colleague, Representative McNerney, to introduce two bipartisan pieces of legislation to address the threat of cyber attacks. These two bills, H.R. 5239, the CyberSense Act, and H.R. 5240, the Enhancing Grid Security through Public-Private Partnership Act, were the subject of a legislative hearing held in this subcommittee last month. Under H.R. 5239, the Secretary of Energy would be directed to establish a voluntary CyberSense program to identify and promote cyber-secure products intended for the use in the bulk power system. And do you believe that this policy would help improve the safety and security of our energy infrastructure and address these threats?
It certainly on its face sounds like it. We will work with you in any way that we can to flesh out any details and information that we have privy to.
Well, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. And along with with Representative McNerney, I'm also the co-chair of the Grid Innovation Caucus here in the House. The purpose of this caucus is to discuss the challenges facing the electric grid and come up with ways that we can enhance its capabilities and securities. In addition to guarding against the threat of cyber attacks, will you go into more detail about other ways which DOE is trying to improve the electric grid's capabilities to protect it from these cyber attacks?
Yes, sir. We'll work with you.
I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from